Variety, celebrating more than 119 years covering the business of entertainment. This is the Award Circuit Podcast. Conan O'Brien has a question about Emmy FYC season.
Why is it called For Your Consideration? That feels very meek and mild. I don't want to be considered. I demand prizes for this show. That's another thing I don't like. I don't want For Your Consideration. I demand an Emmy!
I'm Michael Schneider, and on this episode of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast, we talk to Conan O'Brien about the Season 2 return of Max's Conan O'Brien Must Go, as well as his takeaway from hosting the Oscars and more. But first, on the Award Circuit Roundtable, we look at the Emmy Lead Actor categories and how a big plot development on The Last of Us might shake things up. It's all next on this edition of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. Stay close. Hey everybody, it is the Variety Awards Circuit Roundtable. I'm your TV editor, Michael Schneider, along with your guru of all things awards, Clayton Davis, and Emily, who has 12 hats. She does it all. She goes to WrestleMania events over the weekend. She's right. Across the globe. She's everywhere.
All over the place. But I'm back where I want to be, in Emmy land at Variety.
She said it with a smile, with a straight face. So I'm not sure I believe her.
I know.
I still can't hear Clayton, but
I can't hear you either, Clayton.
He has something to say.
Having a little technical difficulties
Clayton,
here.
Come on, come over here. Seriously, because we need to get.
You can just come into one of our offices
right now. All right, so as Clayton walks over, we're going to talk about today lead actor in a drama. We're going to talk about lead actor in a comedy, lead actor in a limited series as well, because we're coming off the big news, which is, of course, what happened. Are we allowed to spoil what happened on Sunday night?
Well, let's just give a spoiler warning now. If you have not watched The Last of Us, we will be discussing. So. There's your warning. Skip over this segment if you don't want to be spoiled.
And honestly, by the time you're listening to this, it's Thursday. And so if you haven't watched Last of Us by now, that's on you.
You've probably already been spoiled if you haven't watched.
Yeah, you have. So Pedro Pascal, R.I.P.
R.I.P. We shouldn't say Pedro Pascal R.I.P. because he didn't.
No, I think Pedro Pascal is dead.
Miller R.I.P.
Clayton, just come into my office.
You still can't hear me?
No, come into my office.
It's so quiet.
Just the worst. Worst thing ever. All right, I'm making my way over.
All right.
Oddly enough, we can hear you right then.
So,
wait, could you really?
That's actually fine. That's fine. Just leave it like that.
Good. Okay. Hello. Hi. Can we hear him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Clayton, I was shocked that they decided to do that so soon. That second episode in, Joel was already off. Of course, they're committed to the bit, and that's what happens in the game. But nonetheless, they could have kept him around for a few more weeks.
I mean, if you follow the game closely enough, then you know that it happens pretty early on in the series, in the game series. And this season, just so everyone knows, the first half of the second game. So you kind of need him to go so you can get all the other things in order. But it was as harrowing, even though I had a really good clue that it was coming, it was still pretty harrowing to watch. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Emily, same? I mean,
I actually was more surprised. I didn't think it was coming this early. So I obviously knew it was coming, and we knew that it's been hard to plan ahead for it. But yeah, I wasn't expecting. I didn't think it was the strongest way to do it, but I thought it was a good turn of events.
I'm sorry, how did you want Pedro Pascal to be murdered on screen?
No, I love Caitlin Dever so good. So I love her. I just feel like there could have been a bit more build up. There was a little bit of things like right time, right moment, wrong time, wrong. I don't know. It seemed a little too perfect for me. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a huge Last of Us girl, so I feel like I'm a little bit of the outlier here.
Subtle change from the game version to the live adaptation, because in the game she just beats him to death with the golf club.
Right.
And at the end, just the part of the golf club just hits him in the head and it kills him. This, they had the golf club break off and then have her impale his neck, which was that was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it was giving Glenn Walking Dead death
yeah.
vibes.
And we all know how much people loved that.
Yeah, people
That
were
got well for the
really happy about it.
yeah. But
I do love the theories that have emerged online, which make no sense whatsoever. That said he's not dead, or that he's dead and will become a zombie, and that's how he stays on the show. I'm like, I don't think you know how the zombies work.
Yeah, this is actually, that's funny that you just said this, because was another character death last week in 911 universe, Peter Krause's character, Bobby. And there are a lot of theories online about him as well, being like, he's not actually dead. He's going to come back. He's like, people, characters can die on TV. This is part of TV.
people wanna believe, but they forget that these are still human beings who have contracts or who are moving on to other parts of this. This is their career, and sometimes they move on. Sometimes
budget cuts happen. Like, let's be honest. So there's many reasons why people leave a show. So I think it's just important to note that. But it is something that keeps the conversation going too. I always give writers and producers a lot of credit who take that risk and kill off a main character, because it's not easy to do and it's scary and you don't know if fans are going to be mad or be upset. I always give them a lot of credit, because that's Peter Krause has been the lead since the beginning, and that's a big deal.
And it never used to be the case. I mean, television used to be afraid to kill off any major character. Yep. And we actually did a big listicle this week in Variety, going through some of the surprising deaths on television over the years. And really, most of them have only been in the last 20 years.
Right.
Because just TV would not do that before. There was always a fake out, but in the end, they were too afraid to actually kill one of their major characters off. But now it's cool. Now it's good. So this changes everything for the lead actor game, of course, because what does this mean now for Pedro?
Well, as everyone knows, we had some guest rule changes this year. So even if he could be eligible for guest actor, which we are under the impression he is not, and if anyone follows the game, there are some instances of Joel still that could be coming. But if you've been nominated in a main acting category, you're not allowed to go to guest. That is directly affecting someone like Meryl Streep, who appears in only 4 episodes of Only Murders in the Building, which is under the 50% rule, but she can't go guest. She has to go supporting. So now Pedro has the dilemma of either staying in lead, where he will undoubtedly have a really tough, I think he can get in either category. I'll say that. But in terms of winning chances, he is going to face Noah Wyle and Adam Scott, who are just like really dominating and front running in that space. And then if you go supporting, I think he has a much better shot, because then it's Severance and White Lotus, an abundance of them, like in one bulk. And if, granted, Last of Us could pull in another supporting actor nod with young Manzino, who gets a lot to do later in the season. But, if Pedro's going to walk out with an Emmy, that's the way to do it. Looking at his co-star, Caitlin Dever, who coincidentally qualifies for guest this year. When you're guest, you have the option of going into the main acting categories. So Caitlin may still opt to go for supporting, even though she qualifies for guest, because her performance and her presence is just deeply felt throughout the season. I think Pedro has a real dilemma on his hands. I think he's going to stay lead. That's what all clues indicate. But people from his team are very adamant about saying no decision has been made and that they're weighing the options.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that lead actor category, I mean, it is stacked in drama, because we've got Adam Scott from Severance there. We've got Noah Wyle, of course, killing it on The Pit. So is it smart, or is that a high bar for Pedro to be up against some major names this season?
He can totally get in. I mean, look, Brian Cox is the precedent, right? Brian Cox died episode 3 of his final season.
I think it's also safe to say we're going to see Pedro the rest of the season in flashbacks. I mean, there's no way, I can confirm it's not going to just be these 2 episodes. Yeah. So he's in other moments. But
it's still very much, I think, and for people who have seen the entire season that we've spoken to, he is in more episodes. He does appear in more episodes, but it is undoubtedly a supporting role. And I think that is honestly the weight here. And Brian Cox, you can look at that season and say, okay, if he goes supporting, does he beat his co-star Matthew McFadden, or does, what is the end goal here? And for a lot of people, it's the perception. We saw this with Lily Gladstone during the Oscars for Killers of the Flower Moon. People want to be seen as a leading actor, leading man, leading actress, whatever the case may be. So looking at that, there are some, this is the year of Pedro. He has a lot of things happening this year. So
yeah, including appearing in a cool Apple campaign, dancing. So we love.
But I feel like all the lead actor categories are stacked this year. Comedy is just as crazy.
Yeah. Can I ask you something, Emily, about the 911 just real quick with Peter? By the way, you said Cross. Is that how you've been saying it? 'Cause I've been saying it wrong my whole life. Then I've been saying Kraus this whole time.
I think it's Krause, actually.
Oh, so we're both wrong. Great.
Yeah.
With his death, sometimes death brings sentiment. And people are like, oh, this is the only time we can ever do this again, blah, blah, blah. Do you think 911 has never been a major Emmys player? However, it is a very watched show. Sometimes that can help. Do you think, did he have enough to do the rest of the season, aside from dying, that could bring him in?
It was a great season for him, but there's no way, in my mind, there's no way this puts him. The drama, and not to say the show is not good, it is good. Obviously, you guys know I love it. I love a procedural. But Peter, that race is just way too stacked. There's no way they're going to break in this season.
It's hard enough for a broadcast show any year.
And he's good always. He was so good in Parenthood. He was so good in 6 Feet Under. Like, I mean, he's always so good. So there's nothing against him.
Don't forget Sports Night.
Of course. Sports Night.
And speaking of comedy, was Sports Night a comedy? That was the first debatable show today. But, the Bear, Jeremy Allen White, he's still a contender. So, it's a big question of whether or not he can three-peat it. Seems like...
I guess I kind of feel like it's going to depend how this new season is when it comes out in the same window voting, the same way that last season everyone voted for that season. I think it'll be interesting.
Emily, you're definitely correct, because that has been the thing the whole time with the Bear. Everyone's been winning for their incorrect season, that they're actually delivering their finest stuff. So it really will depend on that. But having his first loss happen at the SAG Awards to Martin Short, who has never won an acting Emmy before, I think could be a sign of maybe a lighter day for the Bear. Not saying it's going to miss a lot of major things, but I don't think it'll be 22 again. Maybe it'll be a little less. But there's Martin Short, but then there's Seth Rogen, who is all over the studio as a writer, a director, an actor, a producer. There are multiple ways to reward him. I think that one of the easiest ways to make that happen is give him lead actor. Let him just walk away with it. He's great on the show.
I think that he could get some writing stuff too. I think that could get in there.
I think directing is like, I would be shocked. That would be a loss that it would hurt for some time. He should win directing for the oneer. It's incredible feat.
Yeah, no, those oneers across the board, one of the big trends of the year that I know Emily is tracking. And
I have been. It's everywhere.
What's that going to mean for the editing category?
For sure. I mean, and I think it's also who's doing it right and who's using it as almost because it's a oneer, it's a good show. I don't think that's the truth. I think that some shows are not using it in the most efficient ways. I think the studio uses it in an efficient way. Some other use it as just kind of like a reason for people to start talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Are there other standouts in terms of comedy acting that you guys are looking out for?
I mean, it's really top. It's a little top heavy this year. I wonder if Ted Danson could actually make a play. I think Adam Brody got a lot of goodwill up to and including the time of the fires. And I think people have really just kind of fell back in love with him and realized he's been around for a long time. So I'd watch out for Brody to make some noise.
I would also not count out Steve Carell if he goes lead. I assume he's going lead for the 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's he has those Stradler kind of roles are tough sometimes.
It's such an ensemble show; it's hard to even imagine them as leads.
Even Tina Fey, and we'll get to lead actress next week. But Tina Fey, even I feel like it's such an ensemble, and everyone should go supporting. It's very Modern Family built that way.
Yeah,
and I wonder if that. And I would say, just a quick note: watch out for Nathan Lane. I just finished Mid-Century Modern. Such a good throwback show.
Yeah.
And they do love Nathan Lane. And I think that show could do a little bit of surprise inclusions on the year.
I would also say that in the directing categories because they love Jimmy Burrows so much.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? I mean, let's be honest. Even as a non-comedy person, you can't not love Jimmy Burrows.
Yeah, and it is a great throwback to, I mean, obviously Will and Grace, considering it's from the Will and Grace creators, and they loved Will and Grace at the Emmys back in the day. So more to come on that. And then while we're talking lead actor, why don't we hit the limited category? Because that's, again, seen a little shakeup. Last week we talked about the series shakeup going on over there. So Stephen Graham, with Adolescence being the phenomenon that it is he now a formidable competitor to, obviously Colin Farrell is a front runner here, but there could be a mix up here too.
This is one of my biggest struggles with the limited category because the shows and the performances are so different. Like, I mean, Colin Farrell's transformation physically and and everything else, I mean, emotionally, however you kind of want to phrase it, was so incredible that does it deserve the Emmy? Yeah. I mean, we all know that. But Stephen Graham's like complete and utter just breakdown, and the acting he did without even speaking in many of those scenes was just, to me, it doesn't even make, it's hard to even put them against each other because they're both so great in so different ways.
Yeah. Actually, at the time of us recording this, tomorrow is the official final break that Stephen Graham is going lead. It's official now because there was actually a debate. There was a lot of people that wanted Owen Cooper to go lead and Stephen
Who plays his son, right?
Who plays his son. And, argument to be made for both. But I think a lot of times when you're knowledgeable, and not all Emmy voters are knowledgeable, you say to yourself, Stephen Graham, producer, writer, actor on the show, maybe I continue with Colin Farrell. I know I can give Stephen something in writing and as a series creator, right? But sometimes they say, Richard Gadd, we're just going to give you everything anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But I do think Stephen Graham is real, like, it is so hard. Emily, you hit on the note. I don't know how to compare those two and to say one did more than the other. And then listen, I think we're in a really interesting place with Black Mirror. Paul Giamatti's eulogy episode, my opinion, the best episode of Black Mirror ever, and one of Paul Giamatti's best performances ever. And I think they're discussing his placement also. He might, in fact, go lead. And how do you judge a single episode against an entire series? So limited anthology / TV movie, it's just getting harder to compare. You're really starting to compare apples and oranges.
Well, what's interesting about that, though, is when you think about it, I mean, Giamatti is in every scene of that episode of Black Mirror. So that's a pure, almost movie presentation. Whereas Stephen Graham is maybe, in half of it, and, ultimately maybe has about the same amount of screen time as Giamatti does in that one episode.
By the way, one of only 2 shows this year I actually cried in was one of those Black Mirror. Like, I actively cried so much in that.
I cried. The other Adolescence?
No, actually, I didn't cry in Adolescence. Oh, actually, no, I said it. So 3. Adolescence, and the other one was actually Love on the Spectrum. I cried a lot.
Okay, fine.
That was for personal reasons. But we are in a very interesting place. We are in a stacked, limited series, which has really been gutted in a lot of ways. We have so few submissions, but man, is it top heavy and rich with some really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm actually really excited because usually there's so many amazing limited series that are competing that I'm like, I don't know. And this time I still don't know, but there's it's just the really, really strong group that is going to be really hard to beat, but not a lot. There's just a few really great ones.
Which I think actually helps because then you get quality. And then sometimes there's that one little straddler that we're like, why are you here? But I like that it's top heavy. We're gonna get some good stuff.
Yeah. What are you guys watching right now that you're digging? Emily, what's...
Oh man, what am I watching? You know what? It's about to come out. It's called The Better Sister on Amazon Prime Video. I'm impressed. It's got a little bit of a slow start, but I'm impressed. And then my feel-good show right now, Ransom Canyon on Netflix. And as a surprise to no one, it's Yellowstone meets Virgin River with Josh Duhamel and Minka Kelly. Couldn't turn something on quicker.
Emily, that popped up in my preview content. I swear to, I'm not lying to you. God strike me dead. I saw it come up and I was like, most Emily show that's ever appeared for me to consider watching. Why are they giving this to me? Wrong audience, man.
Honestly, like
If they were solving crimes, then that would be the
there is some crime in there.
Okay.
It's enough.
Philip Winchester is the sheriff. I'm in.
All right.
Say less.
Yeah. I say my show really for two reasons, because it actually is great this season, and to hurt Mike's feelings, Survivor is hitting on all cylinders right now.
Yes,
On
yes,
all
yes, it is.
cylinders.
Agreed.
This season is rocking. I am excited by competition program as always, and
Me
of
too.
course, and I started the Valley. Valley's great.
Great.
Valley's been amazing. Good stuff.
Team Amazing Race forever, but that's okay.
I know.
That's okay.
It's our one divide.
I mean, there's room for both of them.
There is room for both. That's a good night of television right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really getting into Your Friends and Neighbors. I think it's really some of the twists and turns have been fun to watch. John Hamm is great in it, but a lot of great, Amanda Pete's strong, a lot of great supporting characters. It's fun to watch, and you're not quite sure where it's going. So far so good. So
Sounds great.
there you go. There's your picks to click. And from there, I think we will let it go. And why did I say let it go? Like suddenly it's...
You like Frozen?
You're very Frozen.
We'll leave it there.
Kristen Bell, we're talking about Nobody Wants This.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Bringing it all back. All right. Till next week, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
After the break, Conan O'Brien Must Go star Conan O'Brien. From Los Angeles, this is the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. And we're back. It's the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. I'm Michael Schneider. Fresh from earning critical raise for hosting the Oscars in March, Conan O'Brien received more good news. Max has already renewed his Emmy-winning comedic travel series, Conan O'Brien Must Go, for a third season. That's just as his upcoming Season 2 returns this May 8. Conan O'Brien Must Go was inspired by O'Brien's special Conan Without Borders episodes that used to air alongside his late-night talker on TBS, and follows O'Brien as he surprises people whom he meets through his podcast Conan O'Brien Needs a Fan. In the show's new batch of episodes, O'Brien visits New Zealand, Austria, and Spain.
I thank you so much for having me. I like to blend in. I don't want to look like a tourist. You want to buy a map? And it just says, Google it! This place is full of incredible culture. You look like Jackson Pollock vomited on someone who was standing nearby. It's very important to get a local guide. Is it Javier Bardem? Is it Bardem?
Yeah, I was forced to be here.
Among this season's guests, as you heard in that clip, are Javier Bardem as well as Taika Waititi. The Variety Award Circuit Podcast recently spoke with O'Brien in front of a live audience at the American Cinematheque's nonfiction film festival dubbed This Is Not a Fiction.
How dreamy is that Javier Bardem?
Yeah, it's Javier.
Javier.
Which I learned very quickly. That was a gift. This season we've got some ringers that step in at various points. And that was, Javier said when I interviewed him in the States, I would love to show you Madrid sometime. And I thought, A-list movie star, he's saying that just to get out of the podcast. We're done. I just want to get back in my town car and get back to the hotel and leave. And sure enough, the minute he heard that I might even be going to Spain, he said, I want in. We were just going to shoot one thing with him, and he just kept saying more. And he's just a dream. I mean, it's just, he's so funny. And we are doing a lot of improv together. And in that scene where we're mirroring, we're eating with each other, I'll do a little thing, he'll pick up on it, then he'll do a little thing. And you just think, this is like the greatest UCB partner that you could ever have. He's fantastic. He's amazing.
Yes, country for this old man.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. there you go.
So how much of that do you plan out with him when you were doing these segments? Did you know you were going to end up doing some improv like that, or did it just kind of just happen?
Well, first of all, I have to come clean. We have, and they're here, the amazing, this team, Mike Sweeney and Jesse Gaskell and Jose Arroyo are here, who worked very hard. You guys should stand. Come on, stand up. Come on. Oh, they're not here. All right, well. Oh, there. Hey, Jesse, how are you? Good to see you. And there's Jose right there, also known as Dr. Arroyo. And Sweetie's in the back. That's not a lab skeleton.
Such a typical writer thing, though. They're like, me? No, never.
Yeah, but just try and cut him out of the process. Writers Guild's on the phone. But they work really hard coming up with different scenarios and doing a lot of the research. They also came up with the Pork Casso bit, which I insisted they cut and thought they had cut until I'm sitting here in the audience tonight and next to Mike Sweeney, and I see him put his head in his hand because he suddenly realizes he told me he cut it and he didn't.
I loved it. The soul leaving your body, the Pork Casso.
Yeah, it really did leave my body. No one saw you leave. It's okay. Anyway, from this angle, it'll be more exciting. Two guys with microphones. The series. But yeah, they work really hard, and we have just an incredible operation that we've been honing. It started with, really even before Conan Without Borders, it started on the old late night show with Finland, and then it's been a trajectory of trying to do more and more of these shows, Conan Without Borders, and then doing them for Max, where we could keep elevating the look, have access to some more people, and it's been a journey, but it's been a lot of people that have helped along the way. So Jeff Ross is here, who's the executive producer who makes it all happen.
Shout out.
And we're very blessed. There's a guy who's here tonight who really, you could be anywhere in the world and you could say, I need a wizard's hat made of caramel. You could be in Bahrain, and you could say, I need a Harry Potter wizard's hat made of caramel, and he'll say, okay, and he'll run out and he'll come back 20 minutes later with it. I don't know how he does it, but it's Jason Chalemi, and he's here. Jason, wave, come on.
It's just pure fear of you.
Fear of my displeasure. So we come up with various scenarios, and then there's a lot of me. I would say it's a healthy mix of me getting into situations. And my favorite thing is to not get a reaction from people who are from another land and horrified.
Well, I got to mention
why is Jane Lynch here tormenting us? They just don't know what this man is doing. They don't know. Yeah. And I love those. That's one of my favorite things.
I got to imagine going back and watching some of the footage that you probably didn't see some of those reactions in the moment until later you see the eye rolls or the certain things where people are like...
My favorite is just staring in disbelief and also sometimes just glassy-eyed. What's wrong with that man? And those are some of my favorite reactions.
How do you know how to pick? So the civilians that you start with when you talk to on the podcast, and you decide, okay, this is a good person to feature on the show.
Yep.
The civilian Javier, for example, in the beginning, he actually had some chops. The whole.
Oh, they're great. The people that we have found so far last season and this season they're all. It helps so much, and I'm very blessed that I have fans that are good-natured and funny, and they invariably are willing to give things a go, and they have a good heart. That just seems to be what translates. So Aaron Blair will, we call him Blay, he will do some research. He did it for a long time with his sister. She was working on the show, then she moved to help me out here. No one cares. Just occurred to me, no one really cares where she went.
We're getting very granular
awful
here.
People you are. I'm pretty sure she's in like Minnesota, one of those. What's that, Michigan? That's one of those ones where you fly over and you look down and...
when did she move, and how's her new place?
Nice, it's really nice. It's made of cinder blocks, and it's held together with molten cheese. Anyway, they they do the research. We have people that call in and say, or call in, I'm such an idiot, people that contact us on the computer. They call us through the computer, said the old idiot. And then we proceed to, there's a weeding process, and then I talk to them, and then we can kind of figure out who would be a good person to visit. And you can just tell, okay, airline pilot, and he seems like he has a great sense of humor, and he seems really sweet, and I could learn, that would be a good segment. You kind of learn which would make a good segment.
So what comes first? Do you decide where you want to go, and then you start to reach out to fans in that region?
It all sort of starts to congeal. I love the word congeal. It congeals, getting another angle. It's good. It's going to make it Pulitzer with that one. Not the Pulitzer you're thinking of. There's another Pulitzer.
Right.
It's the Lily Pulitzer, the dressmaker.
I was going to say.
That's really clever if you know fashion. Beats Picasso anytime. Anyway, I don't know where I am. I don't know why I'm
Pulitzer,
doing this stage in my life. I would say it's a process of it becomes kind of clear, and as it did last year too, where there are cities where we have a couple of fans, because it's good to have more than one if you're going to have an episode in one city. I have more than one fan. We're down to 7 now since the accident. So I don't know why you're laughing at that. I didn't know they made a bicycle built for 35, but they did. They were all on one bike. The point is, I don't have a point. There's no point to any of this. There's a lot of babble, and then the cameras are rolling, and then we cut it down, and we make a show.
Make TV, make magic.
Max says, that'll fill time.
But so you sort of, at the same time, you're finding your fans, you're also deciding, okay,
it's
Spain makes sense.
Yes, and then there's a lot of arguing and a lot of... But generally, it comes down to, then we arrive, we make all our plans. Oh, it's key to get a good fixer in every city around the world. And we've been very lucky at that. And that's Jason's department. He always finds these really amazing people who say, I know what to do. Nope, you don't want to go there. You want to go here. You want to do this. Nope, you don't want to do that. And so you need local people to tell you how to do this.
And that's how you've stayed out of jail all these years.
Or did I? That's... Watch episode 3. This season, Austria.
But nonetheless, how many people do you bring out to these? How big is your crew versus working with the local crews?
Well, I think...
It was a really bad question. I know.
I don't know why I'm giving them shit. They're doing their job, and they're doing a good job. And I think we should, let's hear it for these guys. They're here, they're photographing. Yeah, Team Coco forever. So we have, in total, I would say we have an incredible unit of sound and 2 camera people who are absolutely amazing. And I don't know who's here. Who's here, Jason? Do you know who's here?
Christy, Percy, Brenda.
Stand up. These are just amazing. Stand up. Hey, ladies. They kick ass. They get it done. They're incredible. I wish they use a boom more often. It's very invasive when they get in to put the lav on you, and sometimes I think it's unnecessary. This guy's coming this way. All right. But I'm like a T-Rex. I just see movement, and then I attack.
These photos of you are very valuable.
These are very valuable. Conan with a mic is very valuable online right now.
Paying big money for him.
And so there's a real endurance to it too. Sometimes we have very long days. We did one day with Javier, and that was a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff you didn't even see, but I couldn't believe it. I kept thinking he's just gonna, he's just going to say, okay, that's enough. Yeah. And he kept saying, no, we've got to do more. I have another idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. So he doesn't have enough work.
Clearly, this is his springboard to getting back in the biz.
I thought he was in Puss in Boots, by the way, so that's on me. But a little bit of fear of Vin Diesel getting angry with me, but I'll deal with that when it comes.
I was going to ask you about that.
Sometimes I worry about those things, and then I realize, what are you going to do?
Well, Vin Diesel's known for having a great sense of humor.
He might be. I don't know. He could be a fine fellow.
Actually, no idea. Yeah, perhaps.
But I just loved. I loved that clip. The thing about the street is the street always wins. I mean, I could watch that clip forever. It makes no sense. How did he know that was going to happen? And how did he know that Jason Statham was going to fall right then? I could talk about this for hours, and I will. If you guys want to meet up at a separate location, I will just talk to you about how insane it is that he watched the cracks forming and knew exactly what was going to happen and knew that one stomp of his size 3 boot, ladies, would cause that garage to collapse.
Based on a real story, by the way.
Probably.
That really happened.
It's happened all the time. Who can say?
I hope, by the way, that ad that you voiced actually does air. I think it's going to air. Spain.
I'm going to make...
Because that's one of my favorite things is when you actually go and you appear on local TV shows in other countries, and then you end up actually appearing on those shows in local territories. And I always wonder, do the people know who you are in those?
Strangest thing I ever did was there was a guy who kind of looked a little like a German... I did this way back in the early 2000s, I think. He looked like a German David Letterman, sort of, and he had little glasses like Dave, and his name is Harold Schmidt, and he had the Harold Schmidt show in Cologne, and I was in Germany doing some stuff, and he invited me on, and I went on the Harold Schmidt show, and he had copied Dave's set exactly. Plus, he also used our bits, like he'd used the clutch cargo, he did a couple of other bits, and they just thought like, oh, those are great. It's okay for everyone to use them. And I was actually fine with it. I didn't care. But anyway, the point of the story is that Harold Schmidt had me on and his whole audience is German. And so I came on and I'm sitting there and he'd say to me, hey, Conan, tell us a funny story. And I'd tell a story that always works and hear nothing. And then he'd turn to the audience and say it to them in German. And then there'd be a long pause and you'd hear, no. And then a cuckoo clock somewhere would go off. That was weird.
A little lost in translation, but
I do. It's long been a passion of mine to travel the world, and now that America's loved more than ever, I'm really looking forward to being an ambassador. If nothing else, they can take out their aggression and rage at me.
Well, and now's a good time to mention that you have been picked up for another season.
Yeah, we got another season, season 3. Although that was before the tariffs. So a little worried about that. It may cost us $700 million to go to China.
There may be
and shoot for 8 seconds.
Maybe some different reactions, perhaps. To
I don't know what's going to happen. But that has often been the appeal, is to try and as you know, my humor is very self-effacing, and I'm comfortable when people are laughing at me and when they're in the position of power. And so now more than ever, that feels like a good tone to be spreading around the world. Yeah. That there are some of us who have some humility and are ashamed of ourselves.
You may be, seriously, the ambassador we need in the rest of the world now.
Well, that's a terrible thing to say. No one here really went with it, so...
I thought I was going to get an applause line, honestly, after I said that.
Late. Yeah, we'll edit that in later.
But nonetheless, yeah, it is interesting times. But you have another season. But this season, of course, now we can announce officially that it's back May 8th on Max.
This show, we go to, 3 different countries. So
what are the other countries you go to?
We go to, that's a fascinating question. Austria is the 3rd one. And then, of course, the country... Yes, New Zealand, of course. Thank you, Jesse Gaskell. And we run into a very fun celebrity there. And there's a lot of, they're all very different. Each one is very different, which is something I'm proud of. Each one has a completely different look. And my goal has always been, because travel show is such a popular genre, and I always thought I want to do a travel show where you know less about the country afterwards than you did going in. And I also have a lot of envy because I watch the other travel shows where they're just tasting delicious food and going, this is incredible. And cut back to 5-star hotel. And we're running around and people are putting a, Don Quixote mustache and beard on me with bad glue. Bad glue, I don't know why. It burned. Burned terribly.
And that actually going back to the production and the team that comes with you. I mean, these are elaborate makeup and wardrobe.
It is and it isn't. There is a
for your consideration.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to take us out of the Emmy running for costuming, but I think a high school production of Raisin in the Sun would beat us. No, the costuming is very good, but the makeup sometimes is, I'll literally be standing in a jungle or in an olive grove and people will be putting a very fake beard on me, and it can feel very much like we're going to be arrested. So it isn't like a movie shoot. That's all I can say. But other than that, I still think it's award-winning stuff.
It is fun to see. It looks like a little bit guerrilla filmmaking sometimes.
It is very much guerrilla. Yeah, very much grab and go. And the best things are always accidents, and you always hope for those. And little things that happen that you didn't think would happen. And I think it wasn't a surprise, but just that Javier was so willing to do all of these things. And you'd say anything and he'd go, well, let's do it, man. We've got to do it, man. Let's go. And it was, and so I have slept with Javier Bardem. And then a bunch of years ago at Comic-Con, I made out with Ryan Reynolds. Then we shot a bit. Come on, that was fun. You all enjoyed it. I have these experiences that so many people on my staff envy, and it's just, they're like, wait a minute, you got to sleep with Javier Bardem? And I'm like, yeah, no, we were doing a bit. And they're like, you idiot.
Right. 4 different positions.
Yes,
that was great.
Exactly. Yeah, but he was wonderful.
He also managed. There was a moment where he was kind of analyzing you as well. You almost had a therapy.
No, he made me eat that pig's tail, and then completely broke down everything that's wrong with me, which is really a beautiful moment because he's. What's funny about it is that it's true. It is true. This is an arc that's been going on my entire life, which is desperately trying. And if someone says to me, "Eat the pigtail," I will eat the pigtail, and then they'll explain to me later that nobody eats the pigtail. Yeah. It's not meant to be eaten.
He was a very perceptive man that day.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
now, as I was watching you eat that pigtail, I remember hearing you mention on your podcast that you got ill after this trip. So were those connected?
I don't think so. It wasn't the pigtail. I don't know what it was. I think a bunch of us got ill. Jesse Gaskell, I was in, sorry, Jesse, but I was on an escalator in Heathrow, and Jesse Gaskell was sitting in front of me, sitting on the escalator going down, vomiting into a bag. Jesse, would you like to stand up again? Anyway, that's how hard. There she is.
Hero.
She's got her electrolytes back.
Hashtag hero.
But that was true. They're warriors. These people that work with me are gladiators, and they work really hard, and they get sick, and we just keep going.
Yeah, we're going to spend the rest of this panel just talking more about, in graphic detail, this illness.
Exactly. Why is it called For Your Consideration? That feels very meek and mild. I don't want to be considered. I demand prizes for this show. That's another thing I don't like. I don't want for your consideration. I demand an Emmy. 7 Emmys for makeup alone.
That's very 2025 vibes right there.
You know, you got to just, put it out there. You have to demand for your consideration. When's enough? When? When did you think you got it? I don't mind. I'm just curious when you think I got it. Like, that one's it. I got it. You never know, right? You never know. You never know. And don't let me get into your head and interrupt your flow. Keep doing it. Oh, look, the other photographers all fled because there's something crazy happening across the street. There's a tornado. They're all getting their prize-winning photos, and you're here getting the 7,000th photo of me cross-legged in a chair.
He's waiting for the money shot. Yeah, I think that's it.
I see. All right. Yeah.
So when I introduced you,
what's happening? I thought you had left. Okay. I go on these rants, and I think people have left.
When I introduced you, I was talking about what a year you've had so far. Of course, there was the little thing called the Oscars.
Yep. It's fun.
Hold for applause.
Good time.
And now you've agreed to return.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it might be fun to do it again when we know what it is. When the first time you do it, there's so much of it is just discovery, and then they asked us right away, would we come back? When I say we, I mean the team that I have as well. And I said, yeah, I'd like to do that again now that we even know a little more, and maybe we could have a little more time. So it felt like a fun. I mean, I had a really good time. It was really fun. It's a nice sports car to drive, that Oscars. So.
Yeah, and as you know, these jobs, they can be thankless, but the reviews were all fantastic. I mean, universally, people adored your performance as the host of the Oscars.
That's nice. I think...
Again, where was the applause?
No. Don't do that. That's just, now that cheapens all of it. This isn't being recorded. I hear applause in my mind all the time. So
okay. I'm helping you out.
When I successfully urinate at night, I hear a huge standing ovation.
And you actually say, where's the applause?
Yeah. But I loved doing it. It was really fun. Yeah. And I think the thing that helped me is that I really do love movies, and I went into it with kind of I get to host this is fun.
Yeah.
And it's cool that I get to do this. I grew up watching, some of my heroes, Johnny Carson, Bob Hope hosting the Oscars, and so Billy Crystal hosting the Oscars. And so it's cool to be part of that little chain. And so I think we worked really hard and we had good material, but I also think it helps when I had real joy and enthusiasm about doing it, and for the art form of cinema, and as I do for television. So I think when that comes out, it helps buoy things a little bit.
Yeah, and it sounds like in bringing back your writers and reuniting with them, and really just having fun, and you went out there and had fun.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the relief afterwards was great, but now you're over that hump. So the second time's going to feel a little different, I imagine. How are you going to approach the second time?
If you're built like me, you think, oh, this is more... I'll find some way to make it more perilous. I have a way of ruining anything with my mind. So, but I'm going to try not to do that.
You have a lot more time this time to prep.
Yes. We have about a year, which is why I don't even want to talk about it right now. We're looking forward to that. And this did, and a real thanks to HBO Max because, I'm sorry, Max, the chip wasn't working for a second. They're doing a reinstall Monday. But Max, we called them up and said, I've got to do I'd love to do the Oscars. And they said, yes, we'll let you do that. We just need another show before you go do that. So we dashed off to Austria really quickly, but ended up doing a lot of stuff. We did that show in 2 sections. We did it for a little bit, and then for family reasons, we had to break it off and then went back and finished it. So the other thing that you premiered at Sundance is you're in a film, and this is sort of a departure for you. You've got okay. Now I've trained them well. Yeah, although that's pretty lackluster applause.
Wait till
I'd
they
rather
see it.
not get it than get, okay. And this guy looked like he was just keeping a fly away, Sorry, but there was no life in your palms.
He's like, let me see the film
He was
first.
putting out like a small brush fire that wasn't really dangerous. There was no. Yes, I was approached. I got a call. I got a call maybe a year and a half ago. It was quite a while ago from Adam Sandler, and he just said, "Hey, buddy, A24 wants to know if they can talk to you about doing a movie." And I said, A24? Yeah, I guess so. And he went, "You fucking bet yes, buddy." And it was the Safdies, and they had it's a movie by a brilliant filmmaker, writer-director named Mary Bronstein, and she had this, I read the script and I thought, this script is terrific and unlike anything I've read before. And I don't do movies. And she had Rose Byrne lined up, who is extraordinary and one of my favorite actors of all time. I think she's absolutely incredible. And so I spent a while trying to talk them out of casting me because I said, you've got Rose Byrne, you've got this, I'm not an actor. That's not something I aspire to. And Mary Bronstein was like, no, you're the right person for this. And so she worked with me. I did work really hard, and I think it came out pretty well. And what I will say is that this movie is not about me. It's Rose Byrne, I believe, gives a performance that will make people's eyeballs fall out in a good way. And I think it will be much discussed. It's already been a hit at film festivals, not just at Sundance, but I think Berlin. And it's so I'm glad that I didn't get in the way of this film's success. And I'm very happy for Mary and for Rose. I think they're the true heroes here.
So do you think
It's called If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. It's called. Just rolls off the tongue. It's like Grease. That was the original title for Grease.
Glad they saved it for this one.
Yeah.
But now that you sort of feel like you're maybe a little bit over that hump, is this something you want to do more of? Maybe explore a little more dramatic performances?
Let's have this come out and see what people think. I will say that I started in comedy professionally in 1985 and working on a show called Not Necessarily the News with my partner, Greg Daniels. And then I've had this long, crazy trajectory even before I got the late night show. And then I got that in 93. And then through that, 16 years of that, and then Tonight Show, TBS, and this period, we started doing the podcast as kind of just a fun thing that I had no aspirations. This guy, Adam Sachs, said, you should think about doing a podcast. And I said, well, why would I do a podcast? I have a TV show. And he said, I just give it a shot. And so we made a fake one in a basement, literally, like where I read fake ads, and I just was goofing around, and I just had a blast. And so we started making the podcast, and that turned into a thing which then connects to this show. And it's a very funny thing to say, but I believe that I've been blessed with this incredibly great career, but I believe that I'm more creatively engaged now at 61 than I've been at any other point in my life, and I don't know how that happened. I mean, it's really I don't know why these opportunities are coming my way, and I take them very seriously and I work hard on them, but I'm having so much fun and feeling like I'm getting to try a lot of different kinds of things. And so as much as I loved doing that old late night format, I've been very glad that when you leave it, all these other things have popped up.
Right, and you have more time to sort of scratch all these different itches.
Yeah, it's really nice. So I'm just saying, hang in there, get as old as me.
Life starts
Incredible
at
stuff
61.
happens. Yeah, it really does. It really does. That's probably not true. And this could be a blip. Check in with me in a year, and I may be begging you to kill me.
I should hope not.
I love when those things do well. That was a serious cry for help, and everyone just giggled. You'll look at this later and go, "We should have listened," but you didn't.
Well, before we end things, I think Jordan Schlansky is here, right?
Jordan Schlansky is here. We got to give a shout out to Jordan Schlansky. Jordan, there he is.
Yep.
People have to know that he really does. You're one of the strangest people I've ever met, Jordan. You're a gift that just keeps on giving, and we will have the strangest. Jordan and I, and sometimes we'll be in one of these cities, and we're done shooting. And we go to a restaurant, and he's doing that shit. He's saying, you say pepper, but it's pepper. Pepper from the Greek papiato, which comes from the... And I'll say there's no fucking camera rolling. But he is that guy. And he'll gesture, and he'll say things like, I'll say, why did you do that? He'll say, I am a man. And I'll say, no one starts a sentence with, I am a man. I mean, maybe in Odysseus, but no one talks that way. But that is him through and through, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I like that you're coming in hot with this first episode with so much Jordan. You're like, people demand the Jordan.
It comes and goes. It comes and goes like any other disease. It waxes and wanes, the sores erupt, postulate, then they crust and harden.
Yeah.
I think the scab falls off. You feel better. You think it's behind you. 6 months later, you feel it again.
Yeah, and you really need to have that
Make sure you get all of this, what I'm talking about. So, I want to say a really funny thing happened just before, as the show was ending, someone whispered in my ear, someone who works here, Conan, when this ends, don't worry, security will see you safely out. And I've never had that in my life. And look at these people, I've never felt safer. I fear none of you. I'm happy to say hi. I just love the idea that the minute this is over, massive men are gonna move in, and create a wall of flesh and muscle around me to get me safely back to my Ford Taurus so I can go home.
Well, Conan, in Santa Monica, when it comes to street fighting...
Yeah, it all happens right here in front of this.
The streets win.
Yes, the streets win in Santa Monica. Nicely done.
Conan O'Brien!
Very much, man.
Conan O'Brien Must Go!
That's Conan O'Brien, the executive producer and star of Conan O'Brien Must Go, which returns May 8 for a season 2 on Max. And that's it for this edition of Variety's Award Circuit Podcast. Michael Schneider is the producer, and Aaron Greenewald is the editor. Be sure to subscribe to the Award Circuit Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also, head on over to Variety.com and click on the Award Circuit tab to find the latest awards predictions and key races, as well as your daily fix of news, analysis, and reviews. For Jazz Tanke, Emily Longaretta, and Clayton Davis, I'm Michael Schneider, and we'll see you on the circuit.